Hey guys, and welcome to beautiful Belgium. In this video, we're actually going to be exploring the Heysel Park, which is located in Laeken. And it's known because, well, back in 1935 and 1958, they had really big expositions right here. And there are a lot of buildings that are remnants of those expositions. And there's also the beautiful Atomium. There's a bunch of museums. There's a really huge cinema. It's just a beautiful place to visit. So let's explore. Heysel Park, or Parc du Heysel in French, is an area of Laeken which is a residential suburb in northwest Brussels in Belgium. This was also where the Brussels International Exposition of 1935 and the 1958 Brussels World's Fair took place. The Heysel Park was also the location of the Heysel Stadium, built in 1930. After the Heysel Stadium disaster of 1985, which claimed the lives of 39 spectators at the European Cup final, it was rebuilt and renamed the King Baudouin Stadium. If you're ever at the Heysel Park, well, you should not forget to actually check out the Atomium, which is our iconic building that represents Belgium. And yes, it's a beautiful building which was built for the Expo of 1958. And during those days in the 1950s, there was a very big push for science. So when the expo happened, Belgium just thought that it would be cool to kind of represent science by making a building that looked like an atom, or that was in the shape of an atom. And yes, even though the exposition was a very long time ago, we still use this building quite a lot. There's a museum inside of it, which actually hosts a bunch of different expositions. And there's also a restaurant, which has a really beautiful view of Belgium. So if you're ever at the Heysel Park, do check it out. The Atomium's 9 18-meter diameter or 59-foot stainless steel clad spheres depict 9 iron atoms in the shape of the body-centered cubic unit cell that could, for example, represent iron crystal, magnified 165 billion times. The bottom sphere is reserved for permanent exhibitions dedicated to the 1950s, the 1958 World Expo, and the construction of the Atomium. The second sphere hosts temporary exhibitions. The third and central sphere have a versatile vocation and allow the organization of various events, films, concerts, parties, or conferences. The top sphere, in addition to the panorama, holds a restaurant, and the sixth sphere is the kids' sphere, intended for the organization of workshops of urban pedagogy, allowing children from 6 to 12 years to spend the night there. One of the biggest advantages of places that have a lot of rain, well, they have a lot of greenery. So yes, Belgium has rain pretty much all year long, and because of this, well, it has created a lot of forests pretty much everywhere throughout Belgium, and the Heysel Park is no exception. And what I like about the Heysel Park, on top of just being a beautiful park, is that it's not just a small park, it's actually a really big, luscious forest that is really calm and quiet. So if you're ever trying to go for a walk and you want to go for a little bit of meditation while you're walking, or just listen to the sounds of nature, this is the perfect place to come. Le Parc du Heysel, or Heysel Park in English, is a forest park that spreads out over 17 acres, situated right next to the Atomium, and is part of the Heysel Plateau. The forest park's construction went on from 1927 until 1935 under the initiative of Leopold II, following the plans of architect-landscaper Jules Bersens. Le Parc du Heysel was made in order to accommodate the Universal Exhibition of 1935. Here is a piece of real Belgian history, which is basically the Centenary Palace right behind me, which was basically built for the World Fair of 1935. And this building, even though it was built almost 100 years ago, is still operational, not with the World Fair exhibition, but with other exhibitions that are happening every single year. So this building really hosts a lot of different types of exhibitions, and me, having grown here in Belgium, I used to love coming to the Automobile Expo that happens every single year right here. And even if you're not coming to see an exposition, well, these buildings are just beautiful because there's a bunch of statues on the outside. They're really made with a lot of gusto and detail, and you can tell that they're from another era where buildings were made to last at least 100 years or possibly even centuries. So yeah, they're just beautiful and they're really worth looking at. The Centenary Palace is one of the remaining buildings of the World's Fair of 1935. It was also the venue for the 32nd Eurovision Song Contest in 1987. Currently, it is the home to the Brussels Exhibition Centre, Brussels Expo, which altogether forms 12 exposition buildings. The 5 emblematic buildings located around the pond facing the Atomium are built in Art Deco style. Brussels Expo is still active and participates in the economic life of Brussels by hosting numerous events, trade fairs, and concerts. Belgium is definitely really a green place with a lot of nature and trees, and well, this is no exception. But basically where I'm at is the village part of Bruparck, which used to be the family part of the park, where basically the idea was that people could walk through here and go to restaurants and shops, but as you can tell, it is kind of empty. Well, the reason is that in 2017 they decided to close this area, and basically they demolished all the buildings, so it's kind of empty. But I did hear that the city of Brussels does have plans to renovate this area and to make it into an outdoor mall where people can once again go shopping, have a drink, grab a bite to eat, and yeah, at the moment it is empty, but there are plans to renovate this area, so I'm really hoping that the city of Brussels does follow through with these plans, because I have a lot of memories in this area, and seeing it so empty just kind of makes me sad, but I do have hopes for it. Belgium may not be known for making movies like in Hollywood, but I can certify you that Belgians love their cinema. And the proof is, well, behind me we actually have the Kinepolis, which is a movie theater, and not just a normal movie theater. This is a megaplex with 25 cinema rooms. It actually opened up in 1988 when I was just a small little kid, and this was my favorite place to come to, simply because I loved watching movies on the big screen. And I know that everybody nowadays has their beautiful LCD screens at home, but I can attest to the fact that there's nothing that can actually replace the experience of coming to a movie theater, eating some popcorn, enjoying your movie. So if you're ever in Belgium, do yourself a favor, come to Kinepolis. You won't regret it. The Kinepolis Group is a Belgian cinema chain with 110 theaters in Europe and North America. Formed in 1997 as a result of the merger of two family cinema groups, Bert and Claes. On an interesting note, the first megaplex cinema in the world is considered to be Kinepolis Brussels, opened in 1988. Later, Kinepolis opened another megaplex in Madrid, Spain, which is the current largest cinema in the world. Even though a lot of the village at Kinepolis was demolished, luckily a few things did remain, like this mural behind me, which is basically based on the Belgian comic strip Le Petit Spirou, which is the child version of another Belgian comic strip called Spirou, where he goes on a ton of adventures all over the world, and it's really cool. But yeah, whenever I do see these murals based on Belgian comic strips, I love to highlight them. And yeah, I did actually make another video where I highlighted a lot of other comic strip murals all over the city of Brussels, and I have a future video that's coming out that is also highlighting even more murals. But yeah, at Bruparck we do have a mural too, and it is a little bit washed out. I mean, this area is kind of semi-closed, but I'm hoping that they will restore it to its former prime and that they will keep it for this new area whenever they decide to renew it. But in the meantime, well, I guess we can enjoy whatever is left of it, and I love it. This is something that I really appreciate here at the Heysel Park. It's actually this outdoor museum called Mini Europe. It's located in the Bruparck section of the Heysel Park, and this is an outdoor museum which basically has over 300 buildings from 80 different cities throughout Europe, and it's really awesome to see all this detail that they put in all of these buildings. And this museum actually has existed since I was a child, so once again I get this nostalgia coming here. But it is really cool to be able to visit all these different countries of Europe while just remaining here in Belgium. Mini Europe has reproductions of monuments in the European Union and other countries within the continent of Europe at a scale of 1/25. The park contains live-action models such as trains, mills, planes, and cable boats. The monuments exposed are chosen for the quality of their architecture or their European symbolism. Here's a lesser-known fact about Belgium, but we also have an Eiffel Tower just like in Paris, and it is located in Mini Europe. It's not quite the size of the real Eiffel Tower, but seeing it next to the real Atomium, it is kind of cool. Most of the monuments were made using molds. The final copy used to be cast from epoxy resin, but nowadays polyester is used. Interestingly, many of the monuments were financed by their European countries or regions. And on a side note, I wanted to highlight the fact that the Heysel is actually really easy to get to with public transportation, be it the tram, the metro, the bus. It's so easy to get here, and well, basically this is Brussels and public transportation is really, really good. So well, with this, I think that this is a good spot to end this vlog. I really hope that you guys enjoyed coming on this little visit of the Heysel and looking at Mini Europe and the Atomium. And if you did, please be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment to let me know what you thought of this area and if there's other places in Brussels or in Belgium in general that you'd like me to visit. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.